Charles Oliveira. Charlie Olives, who I must tell you is rapidly growing on me. I mean, I'm starting to like Oliveira more and more. I don't agree with his marketing. I don't agree with a lot of his approach. Now, he can get to where he needs to get, not listening to Chael, but it's going to be the slow path, right? It's going to be the Chuck Liddell road. You're doing everything right. You're kicking everybody's ass, but it's going to be a really long time before we think that mohawk is cool because you're a grown man and it looks a little bit weird, right? In all fairness, though, people thought that was weird on Chuck Liddell. Chuck never changed over a period of time. He became the biggest star in the sport. I mean that as a compliment to him. But that's also one path. Chuck took the long road. And if you're confident in your skills and you plan to monetize the punches and the kicks and nothing else, go ahead and take the long road. It can be a very honorable one to take. I'm giving you answers to how to get there a little bit quicker. Oliveira, though, hold this thought. Oliveira was just weighing in on fights, on Poirier specifically. If Poirier is going to come and fight with him or if Poirier is going to wait and go do the Conor fight. And Oliveira was extremely candid to say, I get it, we're human beings. Everybody wants to make as much money as they can. In this sport, you can choose sometimes between the belt or the money. I will choose the belt. The belt still means something to me, but if somebody else wants to choose money, go ahead. Now, I love it for a few reasons, and I realize the brilliance is in the simplicity. He said nothing remarkable there. There was nothing sophisticated about it. But the truth will set you free, and if you're stuck in a hard place, which is the number one contender doesn't want to fight you, it has never happened in the history of the sport. We have never seen, ever, the number one contender wanting to fight somebody other than the champion. Poirier is the first. What do you do if you're that champion? Right? What do you do? That's where you got to just tell the truth, which is exactly what Charles did. You're going to get a bigger paycheck for fighting Conor. I don't bring a whole bunch of zeros. I bring the only thing in this sport that any of you ever set out for, which is 12 pounds of gold and a recognition by my peers that I'm the best. If that's not good enough for you, go somewhere else. I mean, what do you do? I think Oliveira handled it perfectly. I think there was something special about Poirier even talking about going in a direction as the number one contender other than the title. We've never been in this spot. I haven't armed myself for this to bring to you guys. This is how you counter and this is how you go back and forth. I've never seen this attack before. It was a very clever move by Dustin. It was a very clever move because there's nothing to talk about. When you're the number one contender and you're drawing right into the champ, there's nothing to discuss. Unless you're Poirier, who just started a conversation, right? It's very interesting, but where is this going to end? This is not a precedence that we want to deal with. What if Surreal started to do this with Francis or Francis back to Surreal? The interim champ's got to fight the undisputed champ and vice versa. Do we all agree? Well, I mean, in all fairness, I've been at this a long time. I thought that's how it worked. I thought this all came from a competitive architecture. It's the only part of sport I care about. I'm out. If this is about the money, give me some attention, I'm out. Because I'm kicking in. No matter how small old Chael's push of that buy button is, I'm still kicking in. And I'm not kicking into somebody who doesn't want to be in the cage. Your parents, I'm still in the schools. I still coach. So I see parents and I see all ages all the time. I know parents that make their kids play basketball. They make them play soccer. They make them give baseball a try. I've never in my life heard of a parent who makes a kid go into combat. If he does, I'd probably call and report that guy. That doesn't sound right to me. This has to be a choice. This has to be a volunteer army where the championship and the recognition means everything to you. And you're sacrificing and you're hungry and you're starving. You'll do whatever it takes to get there. And I think when you're in Dustin's spot, in all fairness, he's already worn the belt. I only dreamed of it. I don't know. What's that like if you're the champion? What's that like if you already climbed that hill? Do you want to climb it again or do you want to go in a different direction? Which may take you to the top, but it might take you somewhere else pretty cool too, right? Dustin's got options I didn't know about. Seeing the same thing with John Jones. John Jones walked away. He was so successful, he gave a world title back. I can't imagine. Can you guys? Could you even imagine whatever your chosen craft or whatever your chosen field was, you make it to the absolute top, the champion of the world, and you give it back? I couldn't imagine. So I'm not sitting over here passing judgment. I'm attempting to get into the mindset that's got some brilliance to it, but I'm also looking at the byproduct, which is Charles Oliveira. What do we do? Is it going to be good enough to offer the right guy the match? And if the right guy says no, to go to the next best thing? Is that going to be acceptable? And I'm asking you guys, because you're the ones that are going to decide. Is that acceptable? For me, it is, of course. Of course, we don't make anybody do this. We don't bribe anybody. There's no fancy trinkets. You're here because you want to be here. You're going to be the recognition of your peers with the belt and everything that comes along with that, but that is what it is. If that's not enough, it's going to be very interesting where we go. I mean, again, let me bring in Ciryl and Francis. What do you do? What would you do if one of those guys was to say no? And what if that guy is Francis? Does Ciryl become the undisputed champion, or does Ciryl go out and defend the interim championship? I thought he would become undisputed champion, but there's nothing that says that he has to, and we're getting into a very strange part of the sport. From a marketing standpoint, pay me money doesn't work. It's a huge turnoff. If it's done correctly, you can get over. I would put one of the great heels in entertainment history as Ted DiBiase, who played the $1 Million Man. I will acknowledge that Floyd Mayweather stole the money gimmick from rappers and did it even better than they did. I can then tell you a whole bunch of guys that tried to do it, and it was off-putting. Kobe Bryant, rest his soul, when he became the highest paid player in the league and came out and made sure in interviews to continue to tell people that, he continued to get booed. I don't know if for anybody this money gimmick has worked. Meanwhile, on the other side of the tracks, you have Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo is fighting better right now than I've ever seen him fight. I've seen him be world champion. I have not seen Jose Aldo put 5 minutes of fighting together better than round 3 against Pedro Munoz. The single best Jose Aldo I've ever seen. He was up by 2 on the scorecards. Nobody would have disagreed with that. He certainly knew it as one of the more educated, intelligent fighters ever, and he put his foot down on the gas trying to get Pedro the hell out of there in the 3rd round. I have never seen a performance like that by Jose Aldo. He then goes and does an interview. He says, I'm not here to fight YouTube stars, and you go right ahead. You go make as much money as you want. I'm here purely for the belt. And you know what? I believe him. Words are one thing. Actions are a whole nother. Jose showed us the action first before he ever put the words. I don't know that I've been as inspired, at least not in a period of time, by a fighter as I am right now by Jose Aldo. I cannot think of anybody within the sport who I want something good to happen to more than I want it for Jose. And if you would have come to me a month ago and said, Chael, what is the trajectory for Jose? I would tell you that he is living the dream like all fighters. His expiration date is behind us like all fighters, and he will be the last to find out, and he'll know that when Bruce Buffer is reading his opponent's name and he's flat on his back being carried from the octagon like all fighters. That's what I would have predicted for you, and you would have told me, Chael, you're right. And Jose's on this mission to go out there and be the champion. He had a great performance against Pedro. It's not enough. I get that it's not enough. He's had too many opportunities at the top, right? Unless your name's Chael Sonnen or Uriah Faber, you're not going to just keep walking into world title fights. In all fairness, well, when you call out TJ Dillashaw after the fight, which is a match everybody would like to see, champion versus champion, contender versus contender, all of a sudden you start to see a very clear path of how Jose Aldo is in the ring fighting for the belt again. Not to mention, Jose and Sterling is a very compelling match. Very, very interesting match. Unlike Jan versus Aldo, who is essentially the same guy, but one guy was 9 years younger. Right now it's a battle of speed, and we saw what happened. Jan was able to get to the target first. I get it. I'm just laying out for you. Jose Aldo, without question, has the resume. Without question, has the skills, but he doesn't have the mandate of the masses. We've already given that to him. We gave it to him. What happened, and now we're giving it to somebody else. But he somehow manages to take that car and hit a U-turn. by minutes 10 through 15 against Munoz and the call out of Dillashaw. And this is so refreshing if you juxtapose that against these other guys that want to talk about, I want money. Because who are you blaming if you talk about I'm not making enough money? Who are you blaming? Because I feel like, and when I hear you say it, and I'm a fan, I'm a paying member of this community, I feel like you're talking to me. You think I should give you more money? What do you want me to do? Push the button twice? How do I give you more money? And you're going to withhold a commodity from me unless I do it? That doesn't sound right. You want to hold your career ransom? Shove your career up your ass. That's what I would say. Maybe you're not talking to me. Are you talking to the promotion? The ones who gave you a deal, you held it up, screenshot it, and sent it out to social media 5, 6, 8 months earlier. Now you think you signed a bad deal? You were awfully excited then, according to your social media. So what's different now? If you were ever in the spot as an athlete where you have outgrown your contract, and it's a very real thing, for the guys that have had success, great job. But if you are ever at the spot in your career where you have outgrown the contract, that's not where you go to the media and say, give me more money. That's where you shake your promoter's hand in the back and you say, great job. Great job. Thank you. And I'll share that with you. If you're a whore, of which most fighters are, and you're just going to go to the highest bidder, then keep your mouth shut. That's all you were looking for. When you sit down to sign with a promoter, you should know or believe that that promoter has a plan and can give you exposure that the other promoters can't. That he can elevate you and promote you. Do you know what that word means? So if you were ever to outgrow your contract, that means that he did his side of things. And he's made you a much bigger deal. Which is why you went with him in the first place. Nobody's wrong to try to steer their career. Nobody. But we've also never seen a number one contender pushing back on taking on a champion to the point where the champion now has to speak up and tell the truth, which is, I'm not the big money fighter. Well, what do you do in that spot? It's interesting. And this sport continues to get plagued, right? This sport, like, injuries are plaguing the sport. Bull crap. A bunch of wimps pretended they were fighters. That's what happened there. Weight cutting is plaguing the sport. No, wrong. Undisciplined athletes is what happened there. And now we got to hear about these money fights. Who the hell are you talking to? Which one of you crowned up pricks says that us, the fans, should have to pay more money to make you walk out there with your t-shirt off? Because you're talking to us in some level. What is it that we did, and which one of you is it? Hold your hand up. Be a man about it.